This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com, and I'm back with none other than Sam Houston, the former WWE superstar, also in NWA. He was part of the Dark Side of the Ring recently, the brother of both Jake the Snake Roberts and Rockin' Robin, and he's been through a lot in his life, but he's come out on top. He's remarried now. He's doing great, and he's still in the ring. I recently saw you against Andrew Anderson.
Oh yeah, up in New York. Yeah, that was fun. I had Black Bart in my corner. Oh, that was a night of firsts, you know, and it was fun for me. I like to get out there and move. I get to, because gosh, I mean that's where my heart is. That's where your spirit is. That's where your passion is, and that's where I'm alive. Uh, it, it, I remember, gosh, after the first time I retired in 2000. I got in the ring in 2002. I had seen Steve Williams and all those guys at an event. I got in the ring to say a few words, and when I got in the ring, and my God, just the electricity going through my body, I had to hit the ropes a couple of times, and it didn't take long for me to get back.
Now, for Black Bart, do you have any stories about him? I've had him on before. A lot of fans say that everything he says is bullshit and I shouldn't listen to him. And then some people say that there is some truth to his stories.
Oh yeah, well, out of every, I guess everything, there's always going to be a seedling of truth to most stories. It's just the storyteller's own embellishment. Bart has a way of telling stories, but he's pretty spot on a lot of the stuff, on his facts and stuff like that. So and he's been there, but you got to remember, I've hit him in the head a lot with cowbells.
Yeah. Did you guys
Hannibal,
feud?
we weren't allowed. Okay, we wrestled a couple of times in Pennsylvania and in Baltimore. They still talk about those matches. We weren't allowed. The state athletic commission uh, uh, would not let us wrestle each other after a couple of things. I mean, we beat the state athletic commission up. Our matches got wild, and anyway, they wouldn't let us work against each other in those two states. But then Crockett brought Bart back in when he brought the NWA to Dallas, and he was going to make Bart and I tag team partners against Murdoch and Randy Rhodes. And even though Bart was my tag team partner, I was still putting knuckle bumps on his head.
That's funny. As far as Texas wrestling, what are your memories of wrestling in Texas? We have a lot of Texas wrestling fans on this channel.
Well, I didn't wrestle for Fritz at all. I went in there for Global and then CWA, and there were NWA. Jim Crockett came in there and brought the NWA. My fondness or my memories or fondness of Texas wrestling was when Watts was there, and he had him an office in Dallas. And the UWF was, we were doing our television tapings at Billy Bob's and stuff. Um, I grew up in the territory right next to Fritz. Watts had Mid South. Watts and Leroy McGurk had Mid South, and Fritz had the Dallas of the East Texas Dallas office and everything. And those guys would come over, and Kerry and Kevin and David would come over and work for Bill and stuff. And people guys would go back and forth. Gino Hernandez was coming in, so I was getting to see all the Texas guys in Louisiana and getting to know them there. But I never got to work for Fritz. And I tell you another thing. The original ring in the Sportatorium in Dallas, the Dallas Sportatorium, the original ring, I was the last human being to stand in that ring. They paid me to tear it down. It was pounded into the earth. I've got pictures of it.
What are your memories of wrestling in the Sportatorium? That's a lot of people's favorite venue.
Well, it was a great venue, but oh my gosh, it was the hottest place in the summertime and the coldest place in the winter. So, um, the building was set up really awesome. because it was like a pit. And you're going down, down into the pit or whatever. It was a good building for wrestling. Um, but and the I guess that's when Charlie Norris and I were doing our booking. We were being booked out of Texas through my dad, and we went to Japan 5 times, New Guinea, all sorts of stuff. We ran shows out of Texas and up in Minnesota as well.
As far as the Von Erichs themselves, did you have much interaction with them over the years?
Oh yeah, Carrie and I were real good friends. We were pretty tight. Um, we traveled together some for events, but I had met Carrie. I'd met those guys when I was, like I said, a teenager, 14, 15, 16, hanging in the dressing rooms and stuff, and picking them up at the airport and bringing them to the shows or what have you. Because I ran the ring crew for Watts. I was, anytime somebody needed a ride, I was the one they called. It was nothing for me to get a note in a classroom that says my dad had checked me out because such and such is broke down and needs a ride to Shreveport. So I get out of school at noon, jump into my car, go pick somebody up, Cowboy Johnny Mantel or somebody, Tom Jones, and drive them up to Shreveport so they can make the shot.
Now, I know Bill Watts had the policy if a wrestler lost a fight to a fan, they would be fired. And we saw on Raw last night, I don't know if you saw it, but Seth Rollins was walking to the back and a fan came across the barrier, a short, fat fan, and actually tackled Seth Rollins, who is a multiple-time world champion, and took him down. And the referees actually had to save him from getting beat up by this fan. What would a guy like Bill Watts have done in that case? And what are your thoughts on that? Today's wrestlers not necessarily actually knowing how to wrestle.
Yeah, I run into that a lot. First of all, I think everybody needs to learn the basics. Sit out, switch. Be able to take a leg, whatever. You need to have the basics. I've gone to some of these training centers now, and they don't teach wrestling at all. They teach spots and bumps. Well, it's not about spots and bumps. The marquee says wrestling, so you ought to know your craft before you get into it. Everybody's so fired up. Oh, what's my character? Well, you ought to get the snot slapped out of you and become a wrestler first and then worry about a gimmick or a character or something like that later. Become a wrestler first. And what's going to be believable is if you're an extension of yourself, if you just be you. I see. It is like I was in Vegas the other day and I wrestled Nature Boy Buddy Lee. Well, that's 4 or 5 Nature Boys I've wrestled. Buddy Landell was awesome. I'm not going to say Paul Lee was bad or anything like that, but nobody's Ric Flair. But in that same thing, nobody was Buddy Rogers either. Well, you can't have another Undertaker. Well, they already did that with Brian Lee, but you've got to be your own. It's not about copying somebody out or else. It's about being unique.
And did you ever have any? I'm sure you weren't attacked by a fan because you were always.
I was once in Cincinnati.
Okay.
This little big dude. He was about 5'2", maybe weighed 110 pounds. 120 pounds. I was in the ring working with Jimmy Garvin. I'd had Jimmy Garvin back in the corner, and I jumped up on the second turnbuckle, and I drilled him a couple of shots, and I felt somebody hit me in the back. Well, I thought it was the referee, Kenny, telling me to get out of the corner. So I backed up, and I turned around, and he looked up, freaked out, and all of a sudden I turned around, and I see a fan in the ring. And I said, oh, you're about to get it. And when I went for him, that's when Bobby Eaton had slung down there and snatched him by the foot and dragged him out of the ring and carried him off. The police got there. And then, I said, well, he didn't hurt me or nothing like that. But, keep him locked up overnight, let him, learn from his mistakes. But I wasn't going to push the issue or file charges.
I see. And as far as your personal amateur wrestling background, you mentioned that it's important for wrestlers to learn some. Who taught you a bit about shooting? Because I know in those days you'd get eaten up if
Oh
you
yeah,
didn't know how
yeah,
to
you
shoot.
would. Well, see, okay, when I was a little kid, I was on the road with my dad all the time. So my friends weren't the kids in the neighborhood so much as they were the boys in the dressing room. I get to carry my dad's bag in the dressing room. Gives Danny Hodge, hey, come here, kid, blah blah blah. And he shows me things. They start boom, showing me things. And I learned it. I picked it up. Well, when I was in second grade, I joined a wrestling camp in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The coach from Catholic High, the big prominent wrestling team in Baton Rouge, high school wrestling team. Coach Barrett Murphy was the guy's name. He did a wrestling camp one summer, a few weeks. So I signed up for it. Well, I go to the matches and I tell all my friends, Jim Shields, Danny Hodge, Herb Calvert, all these guys. Well, on Saturday morning, they didn't have TV taping. So all these collegiate wrestlers came to the wrestling camp. Well, the coach, he went nuts. Here's all these NCAA champions, AAU champions, this, that, and the other, Olympians. He said, and they're all here. So Coach Murphy really started training me, or helping me out real well. And then he let me work out with the high school boys. But I thought about it later, he's letting me work out with the high school guys, and these guys are helping me, are coming to work out with us and stuff. So, he did pretty well. But the guys, all the boys growing up, started teaching me to wrestle. And then I got on the wrestling team in high school. I was undefeated. I had ninth grade year, and then 10th grade. I wasn't varsity ninth grade, but 10th grade, about 2 or 3 months into it, Joe Lynn had gotten kidnapped. So that kind of, I dropped out of all that stuff.
Jake has talked about that story in detail on his WWE DVD and in other interviews. Could you tell us about that unfortunate situation?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, like people are led to believe one thing. First of all, there was no blood in the trunk of the car. There were two cars used. 2 days before Thanksgiving, my sister, well, the day before, she'd got an altercation with what she believed to be was her husband's ex-wife. Now, with a private investigator that I've been talking to for the past years, and he's been going over these cases. He's told me, he's led me to believe that, my sister's husband was still married to his former wife. So uh, more and more is coming out, and this private investigator is telling me that there's a chance that my sister's still alive. So I don't want to get too much into it, but Jake had said several times on interviews that there was so much blood in the trunk of the car that she couldn't have survived. Well, I was right there. There was no blood in the trunk of the car. So I don't know where he said he got the information from, but he was kept on the south end of the territory during when all that happened. So I guess he was getting his information from somebody else. I'm not really sure.
And wrestlers always tend to exaggerate, as we
Well,
all
yeah,
know.
especially you sensationalize, I guess would be what you'd call it.
There's a fan on here that wants to know your thoughts on the Nasty Boys. I don't know if you ever had much interaction with them.
I just, I was on the road with them some, and I traveled with them some. I mean, they were always cool with me, and I still see them now, and every once in a while, it is getting back together. I mean, we didn't party a lot together or anything like that. We just saw each other in passing, and we knew each other. I don't think I ever worked with them or anything. Uh, but yeah, I mean, they were giving it everything they had to go out there. I mean, they were in a competitive era as far as tag teams are concerned. but I think they did well for themselves. I wish Brian Knobs recovery, or speedy recovery. I heard he was down or something. But I wish the best for everybody, really.
I believe that he gained something like 150 pounds, but he's in a special hospital now for weight loss. And like he's almost unrecognizable now. He's lost so much weight.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, jumping jacks really do work.
Yeah.
I can do them backwards now.
Someone wants to know, Mike D wants to know your thoughts on Matt Bourne. Did you know him and do you have any stories about him?
Yeah, I knew Matt. Matt came in and worked with. He was a part of the Rat Pack with DiBiase and Duggan there in Mid South. Matt was a little bit, I guess, of a loose cannon, or maybe he would pick his spots per se, and who to jump on and win or whatever. But I was down there when the altercation. I wasn't in the dressing room between him and Duggan. But I know the boys got them all separated and stuff, and nobody suffered anything serious. But all my time on the road, I got along with Matt really well. We had fun.
There's a fan on here that wants to know, did anyone ever rib you in the WWE to the point where you almost wanted to fight them?
Oh, no. Everybody... it's kind of fun because people pull ribs and stuff like that. But the thing with a rib is you got to outdo the other person. And I had people, Angelo Mosca, my own brother. I dropped my own brother off at the airport 2 hours before his flight with "stupid" written across his forehead.
Angelo Mosca just passed away. Did you know him?
Yeah, I knew him real well. I knew him when I was, sorry to say, sorry for his loss and stuff like that. But yeah, I've known Mosca since I was about 14. He would come into Mid South, and that's kind of when I first found out, because I didn't personally have experiences with him, but I saw how he interacted with the other guys, and I knew he was a bully.
Apparently, he was a bully in the CFL too.
Yeah, well, that's why Wahoo McDaniels why he had heat with Wahoo, because he would cheap shot guys after the play was over and stuff like that. Well, one night, oh gosh, I'll go ahead and tell you part of the story. One night, well, it was Barry Horowitz, but he was wrestling under the name Bret Hart in the Carolinas. Mark Fleming, another underneath developmental, and myself. Okay, one week Mark Fleming shows up in Fayetteville with a pair of Jordache jeans. That's a $60, $70 pair of jeans, and we're guys that aren't making any money. We got a minimum guarantee of $50 a night, but when you're only working 2 nights a week, it's hard to make it. We're struggling to survive. So Mosca puts padlocks or combination locks on all the belt loops. So now Mark's got to cut his $60 pair of jeans and all the belt loops off. Running the jeans. So then the next couple of days in some South Carolina town, Barry Horowitz had a huge duffel bag with a strap. Well, he locked the bag to this big iron pole. So now Barry had to cut his strap. So now he's got to carry that great big duffel bag by the 2 little handheld, and so it's going like this, dragging the front end and the back end. And then I had a pair of, a few days later, I'd gotten a pair of eelskin boots from my mom for Christmas, and he put locks on all the pulls on all the pull straps. So I had to wear my wrestling boots home for 400 miles. That was okay, So I went to both Mark and Barry and told them both. I said, I'm not going to sit there and take this. So y'all want in on it? They were like, no. So the first deal I did was with shaving cream, and I drove the guy nuts. He walks in the dressing room, sees shaving cream on his shower shoes, and laughs. Ha ha ha! Kid got me, And he starts rinses his shoes off, starts talking about the Canadian Football League and blah blah this and blah. I'm already out of the dressing room because I got him good. So he takes his shower. Him and his kid, Mosca Jr. were tagging that night. So he takes his shower and he keeps talking. Well, he sits down and he goes to get a cigarette. And when he pops the cigarette pack, nothing happens. So he hits it again, nothing happens. So this time he hits it hard. A cigarette shoots out of the cigarette pack. Rufus Jones and Jimmy Valiant told me they were dying. And Tommy Young were, oh God, when they tell me this. So the cigarette shoots all across the dressing room and sticks to a locker. And he looks and he realizes he's got shaving cream all in his cigarettes and he goes nuts. He starts, I didn't mess with his things. So he grabs another pack of cigarettes. I got both packs of cigarettes. So he's sitting there, he's all mad. Then he grabs his dip and I use that Edge, the green Winter Fresh stuff. And when I put the dip in his mouth, he started foaming and stuff. He went nuts again. Well, when he went to put his hand in his pockets with all his money and his wallet and his license and everything, shaving cream oozing out, all that. So the man had to go back and take another shower, clean all his stuff up. He gets back, he gets all cooled down again. What the beauty of my ribs are, boom, it peaks. Then you got that cool down time till the next thing hits you. And then the next thing hits you. But it went all the way. It went all the way. They said he came out looking like Papa Smurf when he came through with his arms. He had to ride home, which is 360 miles, in one of his son's extra large T-shirts. And Ange was probably a 3X. So it was good.
Now, there's a guy on here, Daniel, that wants to know if you have any crazy Iron Sheik stories.
Well, gosh, I had to go get Grizz. So Jack Howe, the referee, didn't shoot him in Houma, Louisiana. He wouldn't go to the ring. But, yeah, Sheik's something else. We were flying down, I think we had made the last flight out after working a shot, and we were flying to the next town. We made the flight out, so we get to the next town. And so Sheik's on the plane, and when they turn off the no smoking sign, we both got bumped up to first class. And he was we were both in smoking row, but I was in the next to the last one, and he was behind me. And when the smoking thing went off, he fired his pipe up and he was smoking the stool. I won't say what he was smoking, but he started smoking. And the stewardess comes running through there and she goes, "Sir, you can't smoke marijuana on an airplane." And he said, "Marijuana? What? No, fine lady. This is Turkish tobacco." And, he pulled it off and he was able to do it. He smoked the whole way.
Yeah, he's a crazy character for sure.
Yeah, one time, okay, the TVs when I was working for Vince, they used to torture that man about the flagpole and everything. First of all, if you wore a hat, you got to watch. Somebody's going to push the crown of your hat in. If you carry a flag, somebody's going to steal your flagpole. Whatever your thing is, and then they're going to change it from the 7th match to the first match. And, that's how people got their hats super glued to their head and stuff. Anyway, somebody took the Sheik's flagpole, and he's looking all over the place for his flagpole. He doesn't have a flagpole. And they moved him and Nikolai's match up. So they're saying, "Go to the ring." They're hollering, "Go to the ring, go to the ring." Well, Sheik's still looking for a flagpole, and he can't go to the ring without his flagpole. Finally, Nikolai says, "Sheik, here, take my flagpole." And Sheik goes, "Oh, Nikolai, you do that for me?" And he goes, "Yes." He goes, "Oh, Thank you so much. He puts his flag. Come on, Nikolai, you dumb son of a bitch. You always making me late. They took off to the ring.
Who would have guessed that Nikolai would have passed before Iron Sheik?
Oh, probably. Well, Nikolai was in great health, Uh, he was great. I like Nikolai. I know Nikolai, I guess, ever since he was the Mongol or something with Bill Eadie down in South Louisiana.
Yeah, I remember talking to him, and he said he was worried about the Iron Sheik. Sorry. Hey, by the way, what does religion have to say about THC?
I don't know. I think that's natural and it's a healer. So I don't have any problems with it. We're giving everything. I think oh gosh, it's the overuse or maybe what's the word I'm looking for? When you're taking advantage of something.
The abuse.
Yeah, the abuse. Yeah. Like I've been hitting the head with a lot of steel chairs over the years. So
I've heard that the missing link, who you probably knew from Mid South, would fall into that THC abuse category because he would like smoke.
Oh, he woke up smoking. He
No?
woke up smoking. It depends on what's wrong with you. It's a good healer. It's good for pain and stuff like that. Cancer patients use it. It's great for glaucoma. They found out it stimulates people with Alzheimer's. So I don't see any problems with that. I'd rather take something like that than I'd never take a drink, but I'd rather take that than a drink, and I don't take pills. So I see all these all the pills and everything everybody's taking. I don't know. You don't need that. You got to think everything you're doing is going through your liver. So you're not adding any days if you ain't taking care of your liver.
And yeah, I'd rather deal with the effects of this any day than alcohol, because as you know, the same thing will happen to me if I have too much. I'll actually go crazy.
Oh yeah. Well, I was a bad alcoholic for years and years and years. Hannibal. I got to a point where I was drinking 3 fists a day every day for almost 19 years. I went through some periods of sobriety during that. I went through like 3 times I had a year sober. One time it was a year and a day, and then boy fell off the wagon. Because what happens is you get fooled by your own sobriety date or whatever. You think, oh, I got this beat. And then all of a sudden, you get that little voice like an Animal House. You got the little devil on one side, the little angel on the other. Well, this one is, hey, well, nobody's going to know. Just get one drink, and you're going, oh, okay, well, and you talk yourself into it. And I did that 3 times, and finally, when I made my decision, and it was over 12 years ago, I made my decision. It was done. This stuff is killing me. I'm not me. I don't like the person I've become. Just so much, and I couldn't see it. Oh gosh, it made it took away my relationships with my daughters and everything. It's robbed me of that, but it also quelled that hurt. So where do you fall? You fall in the middle of you fall into the middle of a vicious cycle or a vicious circle that there's no way out of. What's got to happen to you is the same thing that happened to me. I had been locked up for 7 days. Okay, when I first got locked up, on the second day, I tried to hang myself, and the nooses broke. 5 days later, they came. They chained me up. They carried me to the chaplain's office. He said, your mom's dead. You can use the phone. I called my sister up, and she made arrangements for me to make the funeral. Thank you, Robin. Well, anyway, I came back, and when they took the chains off, that's when I'd had enough. That's when I dropped to my knees and I prayed and I promised I never would drink again, and I haven't. But alcohol, before it had hurt me, but it's always something. It's always done something I could rebound back from. This time it took something away from me, something I love dearly, somebody I love, dearly, very much. and I couldn't let that slide. So I hate to say it took the death of my mom to give me the strength enough that it did to for me to fight back and say no. I think I'm a much better person for not drinking.
This fan has a very good question. What are your thoughts on your daughter, Samantha Starr, who is now a wrestler? And boy, is she ever beautiful. Good
Yeah,
job.
she is. She's doing really great. My thoughts on her is she's outstanding. I've been in the ring. I mean, when she had her first match, and I was still in prison, and then I got out and I came up to the Carolinas and I worked out with her in the ring to make sure she had what it took, and she did. She had been dating this other fella. He was a wrestler, a little bit bigger than me, taller than me, a lot younger. Well, anyway, I showed her some things and actually showed her a move to make and made him cry real tears. So he come up to me, he says, "You got to show me that." And I was like, "No, that's for her to know, not for you." And I wasn't trying to be a jerk or nothing like that. It's just that, if you're going to entrust something, I want to entrust knowledge into people that'll use it wisely, not just go out there and do it just because they can.
Very true.
How
People,
many people, like if you had a friend that would, every time he had like 3 beers, he want to go put everybody asleep, you know?
oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of, those are the ones you go, "Oh, hey, how was that?"
Yeah, at least with weed, you'll just fall asleep if you overdose.
Yeah, it's kind of like what they said. The cop goes up to the guy at the stop sign and says, "What's the problem here?" And the guy say, he goes, "Just waiting for it to turn green, officer."
There's been a couple of fans that would like to know why you never took bookings in Puerto Rico.
After the Brody thing, I didn't want to go. You know, that's why after the almost being eaten by cannibals, I didn't go back to New Guinea.
Well, now we got to hear that story.
Yeah, we were over at Larry O'Day and Terry Priest, two promoters, came over. They were from Australia and came up, and I'd seen them in Atlanta. Then all of a sudden, when I was wrestling out of the Dallas office, and Larry O'Day had been in touch with, I guess, the Dallas CWA wrestling office, and Action Jackson, Killer Tim Brooks, myself, and Charlie Norris went to Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, and where all the Jurassic Park movies were filmed. Beautiful country, yes, it is. Well, anyway, so the first day, oh gosh, we land over there. They're having a big party with the radio station and everything. Well, when we landed at the airport to see totem poles, I was like, wow, these are awesome. You see totem poles. And they were like what you'd see in Gilligan's Island, but they were huge, like 80 feet, or not 80 feet, but 30 feet tall or something. And as I'm leaving oh, hang on just a second. I got to plug my computer in. Just a second.
No problem at all. And yes, fans, for the remaining 25 minutes of this interview, I will be asking your questions, so be patient. I'll try and get as many as possible. The tipped ones will have priority.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. So anyway, we landed at the airport. I see these totem poles. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. Then all of a sudden, we're driving down the road, and here comes this little dude. And I mean, they're not wearing too much of nothing, you know. And he takes off and he runs. He's running straight at this tree, and he ran straight up a coconut tree. I was like, geez, I've never seen anything like that. Hand over hand, just like boom. And I was like, wow, we're in a different kind of world here. So there was a big party that night. And then the next day, we're getting ready to go uh, uh, to autograph signing. So I go outside, out to the front of the hotel, and I'm smoking a cigarette. And here comes this fellow walking up, and he's about 5'2", maybe. He's wearing a Tarzan-like loincloth. He's got a great big old nice knife on his hip. He's carrying a spear. He's got a bow and arrow over his shoulder. He's got a bone through his nose like this. He's got bones through his nipples. He's got vertebrae in his earlobes. He's He's got his face all painted up red and yellow. He's got some sort of feathery headdress, but not like a Native American headdress. It was more like something you'd see on Gilligan's Island. They live in grass huts over there. And he's walking up to me and with spear and everything. And I'm thinking, oh, gosh, he's going to ooga booga, walla, something, He's going, oh, yeah. Anyway, he walks right up to me. He goes, pardon me, mate, can I have a smoke? And I was like, wow, you talk better English than I do. And I gave him a cigarette and I lit it for him as I was watching him leave. And I turned back around and here comes a woman walking down the street and she's nursing a baby on one breast and a piglet on the other. I'm like, where the hell am I at? So they take me to the sports arena and they got me standing in this little bitty ring. It's about 5 foot by 5 foot, And I'm signing autographs for about an hour or so. Well, I was thirsty. I wanted a soda and use the restroom. So I get out of the little ring and I go to the restroom and get me a soda. The people bodily pick me up over their head and they're tossing me up in the air and everything. And they're carrying me out of the sports arena. And they get me to the big iron gates on the other side of the soccer field. And that's when the Australian army came down. They start shooting people with rubber bullets and beating them with clubs. These Rottweilers were dragging people off by that. They were clamping down on somebody's head, a native's head, and dragging them off. It was like, oh, wow. So they get me in the transport, and the major for the army goes, mate, you ever watch Bugs Bunny? Yeah, Bugs Bunny, yeah. He says the one about the Ethiopian. I was like, yeah. And he said there was a big black part in your future, mate. He said what we're going to do, their belief is whatever they consume lives through them. So if they eat me, then the spirit of a warrior or whatever would live through them. Oh, gosh. And that happened twice. The second time, me and Charlie Norris were together when it happened. But we walked into a store. We were going to grab a bottle of water. And in 3 minutes' time, 5,000 people, boom, right out in front of that little store. They had to call the army out again. They have a nut over there. It's called beetle nut. It grows on the tree. They eat this nut. They put it on a mustard leaf with lime that you kill snails with. They chew it, and it got this red fluorescent spit that, but it gives them a cocaine high, and they chew this nut all day. And then somebody will come out of this little village of about 17 or 20 huts, and then somebody will come out of this little village about 25 huts, grass huts, like, and meet in the middle, and then go to fighting each other and hacking each other to death. After the matches, me and Charlie would just go up to the room with a case or two of beer and watch them kill each other.
Crazy.
Yeah, we were brought over there by the Spear Cigarette Company, which the Spear Cigarette Company was an Australian company that they rolled the cigarettes in the Australian daily newspaper. The cigarettes were a dime a piece, and you could actually sit there and roll them and read the words written. They were killing the natives with the lead poisoning from the eek, a form of genocide, because the land was so fertile.
Rigamust wants to know, he says you were getting a nice push in 1986, but it just stopped. It's almost like you pissed Dusty Rhodes off. Could you explain what happened there?
Oh, yeah, I got married. I married baby doll.
I actually heard Arn Anderson tell a story, and I actually sympathize with you on this, that the Horsemen had asked Baby Doll to get some food for them, and you got mad over that.
No, because she asked me this too, and I was like, no, I don't remember that either. And I think, what's funny is in Atlanta, the boys always went to Simon Malone's anyway. So that story would have made no sense because after the show, that's where all the Horsemen were going anyway, and they could get their own food. I don't know where the story came from. Maybe Arn remembers it different, but neither Nikola or myself remember that.
But also, if that was my wife and some of the biggest players ever in wrestling are asking her to go out and run errands, I might be a little pissed off about that.
Well,
too.
You got to look at it like this. She was just as big a player as they were. She was making, she was making, really good jack when she was up there. Well, she got paid $5,000 just for walking to the ring with Flair one night.
Wow. Oh, I
But
meant
come on, man.
players as in womanizers.
Huh?
I meant players as in they were known for being with a lot of women.
Oh, well, that's that. Yeah, but half of that's probably all BS
Exaggerate.
anyway.
Yeah. So wow, she made $5,000 for just walking Ric Flair to the ring. That's pretty good.
Yeah, main event in Greensboro one night.
Wow. Did
Yeah.
Sam ever tour Japan? Higgins Adventure wants to know.
I've been to Japan 5 times for Yatsu's group, but they didn't bring me over there as myself. They should if they'd have brought the Renegades, Sam Houston and Charlie Thunderblood Norris over the Cowboy and Indian team, they would have done a whole lot better. But they brought us over there as the Geronimo Twin Powers, so I had to paint my face so you couldn't see what I looked like. They wanted me and Charlie. I guess, had us booked as twin brothers, two Indians. And then we get there, and I go to a magazine store, and the first magazine I pick up, there's an 11 full pages of pictures of me, except for two of the pages. There were two pictures of Shawn Michaels instead of me when he first started out in Mid South, and somebody got that wrong. But there was like 11 pages of articles and pictures of me, and they brought me in like this, and they didn't capitalize on who I was as far as NWA and everything else, or WWF. They didn't capitalize on who I already am.
Sunset Moth wants to know your thoughts on being in Royal Rumble '88. How is it and how was it being with your brother Jake?
Oh, it was cool. I had fun. The first ever Royal Rumble. Come on, how many people could? Well, there's 30 other guys, and all of them can say that except the ones that have already passed. No, I had a blast. And what was funny was when I got moved from the maximum security disciplinary camp to the Class A trustee camp. It was on a Monday, and when I finally got into the dorm that we were in, they were watching Monday Night Raw on TV, and that's when they announced Jim Duggan going to be in the Hall of Fame. And I was sitting there and I watched myself for about 4 seconds on TV. And it was cool. I was doing good for a couple of seconds there, and then there was about a second there. I was flying through the air, and there was about a second it took for me to splat on the concrete. And I got to tell you, Hannibal, it hurt just as bad sitting there watching it as it did when I initially took them up, because I think that was before we had too many mats on the floor back then.
Yeah, now they don't have mat, or they do have mats not only on the floor but on the guardrails.
Well, I've seen that, and that's cool. They try to protect people and stuff like that, but they didn't have that back in my day.
Pulsar Lights wants to know, did you ever see Dusty Rhodes in the gym once?
Oh gosh. Well, to be honest with you, yeah. We were shooting. I think we were shooting a video for the Road Warriors, one of their workouts. And Dusty was there. But here's a good one. When I first started in Florida, I ride with Dusty one morning, and we're getting ready to go to TV, and he pulls into the donut shop across the road, and he orders a dozen glazed donuts and a tab. Remember the 1 calorie tab?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
We had a lot of fun though on the road, man. It's kind of funny, Hannibal. And I look back on it now. It's all true. At that time we rode across the sky on the edge of a lightning bolt. We were having fun everywhere we were going. We were doing great business. The work was hard, and some guys did get lost on the wayside. Oh gosh, you start leaning on something, either alcohol or some other substance, and then you get lost in that, and you forget everything, and then your reality is all distorted, and it takes you a while to go full circle and get back to where you are or where you need to be. I mean, I don't know where I would be if I hadn't spent all that time drinking. I could have probably, really been, I guess, way out there. Um, but I'm glad of my journey because everything that I've been through, I'm able to help others with because people can come up to me and talk with me, and I sit there and talk with them. I I'm not trying to be a celebrity or a superstar to nobody. I mean, that's just a pain in the ass to have to be an asshole to everybody.
Who was the craziest partier you ever encountered in wrestling?
Oh God. I don't know. Because you got so many, like the 50 Coors Light or 50 kamikazes and 50 Coors Lights, and then you got some guys that they get all deranged, and I've seen guys just take a handful of pain pills and pop them, and this, it's kind of like Jeff McCauley. 16 somas was okay one day, but 17 wasn't. Was too many the next day or whatever. I'm not sure if that's what it was, but from what I'm understanding, his was an overdose too, and he could have, it didn't have to happen. But I'm also of the belief that you know on this journey in life, oh gosh, we're given obstacles, and we're either going to overcome them or they're going to stop us. When it's your time to go, I should have been dead 10 times over, ten at least. But my number wasn't yet, so that lets me know that he's got a higher purpose for me. My job isn't done here on earth. Well, that's the same being. We're all in an invisible line, and we don't know when our number's up. But when it's up, it's up. So we might live these incredible lives and go through these incredible things and be able to help other people. You know, but when our numbers up, it's finally up, and it doesn't. It can be, it could be. Oh, I mean, I read a story a few days ago about a fella that they said he rolled out of bed, but when he hit the floor, it crushed every bone in his body. And then somebody, I guess, doing one of these things that says, "Oh, well, he must have been having a dream about falling off a building or falling off a mountain." I don't know. I get off on these weird tangents once in a while.
Yeah, but very interesting stories you have. Jonas wants to know if you could go into detail about the Ultimate Warrior.
Well, what I mean, I was on the road with him for a couple of years because it was about 2 years when he got there. We stayed on the road together before he started getting his push. Um, they would film him every week and stuff like that. And Jim, at first, when I first got on the road, he was a great guy. We rode up and down the roads together. Um, I helped him out with his ring work. He helped me out in the gym. And but when I guess somebody got to him in the office, and that next TV taping, you see him, and he doesn't know anybody. He's holier than thou, or better than everybody else, and everything else. I guess he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. After that, we were never the same. But then in WrestleMania, when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame, he did pull me aside. They had cameras and everything else. They're filming us talking, but I don't have anything to do with Vince's office, so I doubt that tape will ever see the light of day. But yeah, but he just wanted to get back together with everybody, and he was apologizing for turning out to be a jerk when he did.
Very good. Did you see the Dark Side of the Ring on him? I'm going to
No,
assume.
I haven't. And I mean, I watched the one on us, and it's kind of it hits you hard, you know, but it's like everything else. You've got to get through it. You don't sit there and waller in it. If you want to do that, then be a victim and sit there and waller. Well, by God, I'm a fighter. I'm going to get up and I'm going to push back, and I'm going to show you that I'm better than that.
Yeah, I agree. You have a good way of staying positive.
Well, it's all about encouragement. I want to encourage everybody out there. Do the best you can do. Be the best that you can be. Don't be second best. Who are you cheating if you don't give it your all? You're cheating yourself. You know? Well, oh, I don't like my surroundings. Well, get out and do something about it. Work a little harder. Spend a little bit more time doing something. Work on yourself. I mean, I see people all the time, and I'll go, "Do you ever think about looking at what when you walk past a mirror? Do you look in it? You know, because I know when I walk past a mirror, I look in it and I see that guy in that mirror. Do I like that guy? Is there anything that guy can do to better himself, to help? For health reasons, any kind of reasons. You know." And I want my health. I want to be healthy, wealthy, and wise, all that good stuff.
Definitely. What was the hardest part about being on the road back when you were doing those long tours for WWE?
Oh gosh. Well, it's probably, like if you were hurt or something, you had something wrong with you, you're just trying to nurse it through. It's like every step. I don't know how, like stretched knees or hyperextended, different things. Your shoulder popped out of place, but you got 4 more or 5 more days to go, and you're hoping you can get some relief somewhere. I never will forget Andre. Uh, his ankle was messed up and my knee was hurt, and he had this doctor come to the show special for this, and this guy had, I don't know what kind of gizmo this was. It looked like a great big test tube thing with this iron bar going through it, all this electricity. This guy was doing some sort of procedure on Andre's ankle, and he got finished, and Andre didn't have any pain in it and everything. Then he told me to sit down, and he told me the doctor was going to do that to my knee. And I tell you what, I don't know what that doctor did, but he did do a good job. I didn't have any knee problems for a while there, you know.
Now, your wife might be in the room, but somebody's asking if you have any ring rat stories that you could share. Maybe not necessarily from you, but maybe something you've witnessed.
Oh, well, I mean, they were all over the place. I mean, I've seen it all. Nothing surprises me anymore. Um, you know, and I don't know. I mean, it's not up to me to like divulge anybody else's stories or anything like that. But yeah, I've seen it all, and God bless them. They're people too.
Yeah, and I hear they would actually like do your guys' laundry and
Oh
buy
yeah.
food and stuff too.
Well,
So yeah,
you get right, rides. You get people pick you up at the airport or pick you up at the towns. Get people rides. There was one lady used to bring cookies and lemonade to all the guys. And I figured then there was one of the boys that she didn't like, and I think that was the one that ended up with the X-lax in the cookies.
Hurricane Maverick wants to know what your all-time worst injury was.
Being paralyzed. Blew out my neck. C4, C5, and C6. They're all one thing fused together now, and it's done that over time. But yeah, I was down for a while. Then I was twice.
Very interesting.
Yeah, this Doctor Irving Schaffner, worked on me out in California, and he did a lot of things that were legal in the U.S. and a lot of I was doing under like 11 different treatments a day, every day for about 6, 7 months, 8 months. Uh, but he did the stuff with the I mean the tens units, and then he had this one thing that was like a satellite dish on one side, and it shot electricity in my neck here, and it dispersed out this way. I used to sit with a mirror and watch that. It looked like something out of a Frankenstein movie or something. Uh, but he worked on me for a lot. It got me back on my feet. Then the Northridge earthquake, I was in that in L.A. Everything got destroyed. Oh my gosh, what a scary event that was. And I re-injured myself because in Calabasas and Malibu, I mean, there was a nice place, so all the doors were these great big huge doors, and we were having to knock our neighbors' doors down so we can get them out of the condos. It was a rough night that night, or morning. But yeah, I was hurt for another 6 months. Dr. Shafter got me back on my feet. Then I flew out to Atlanta to visit my dad, and I ran into Charlie Norris, and he asked me to uh, start working out with him at the developmental center. So I did. And every day for 3 months, we were working out a couple hours a day, and he's the one that got me back in the ring. He said, "You need to get back in there." And I told him, I said, "My career's over. I've been hurt." And he said, "No." He said, "Man, you need to be back in there." He said, "Sam," he goes, "I'm 3 inches taller than you, 60 pounds heavier than you, and I'm giving you everything I got when we get in the ring, and I can't do a damn thing with you. You need to be back in there." And that's when we talked. And he said he'd be my partner, and I knew that I had somebody I could count on. And we started. I came out of retirement then.
Matt would like to know if you have any stories about John Nord.
Nord the Barbarian. I saw him the other day. Right? Yeah, we saw John at the big event. I didn't spend a lot of time. I was already gone from New York when he got there, and I was in. Oh gosh, I wasn't really around much when Nord and Jake were tag team partners. I didn't know him very well then. Uh, I came. I don't know where I was, but I met him a few times, and we worked on some shows in Minnesota with him and everything. I don't have anything that really stands out like crazy or anything like that. All I do know is all the dealings I've had with the guy. The guy's been straight up, honest, and tells you what he wants, and that's what you get.
Last fan question for today from the brother man. He says, hello. He loved your career. What do you think about today's wrestling in general, WWE and AEW?
Well, in general, they've lost something. They think it's all about bumps and stuff. They don't put the story. There's not a story in a match or anything. Nobody wrestles anymore. That's one of the things that's wrong with it. They spend 15 minutes on the mic talking, trying to get you to believe some BS hype, this, that, and the other. When that's not what you wanted to see in the first place. You tuned in so you could see action. Of course, it can't show you just action, but you've got entrances to work off of, this, that, and the other, interviews. But it seems to me like they're trying to push, I don't know, fakeryism to the limit. You know, they need to just settle down and let the guys go at it. AEW. My only thing problem with them was during their tag matches. They didn't. Everybody's making saves every time you turn around. Well, how can you have a tag team match if nobody adheres to the rules? You don't have to get tagged in to do anything. It just doesn't make sense. It's like a Texas tornado match going on at all at the same time.
What advice would you give to wrestlers watching this to help improve the product overall if they're an indie wrestler watching this?
And what would I tell them?
Yeah.
Slow everything down. Slow down. Grab a hold. Learn your craft. Watch guys that you know are good. Model yourself after something like. But you don't steal every move or anything like that. But guys like Ricky Morton, guys like Kurt Hennig, guys like Tully Blanchard, Flair, believable, credible guys. Study those guys, and then come up with your own style out of that. Uh, get to a place get to a gym if you're wrestling or whatever. Get to a gym. Treasure and value that time you spend in the ring. This is something for you to work on yourself. If it's your passion and your dream, then God damn it, get out there and grab that brass ring. Sorry.
What do you think about John Moxley going to rehab for alcoholism?
I'm happy for him. I hope it works. I got to be honest with you, though. The 28-day rehab is 1 out of 100 is going to get it. If his was anything like mine, I mean, I went through 11 different rehabs before I went through a 9-month program that I got any help out of.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you again. You want to remind the fans here where they can follow you on social media?
Yeah, man, check me out. I'm at Sam Houston Fan Nation. I've been wrestling with the PWA out of with PWAOhio.com. Been wrestling out of there some, doing great things there. Gonna check into that one. All the fans in the area, the Ohio area and stuff. Check me out when I come through town. I'm on Facebook, Michael Sam Houston Fan Nation. Really, just if you want to, please go ahead and type it up into Facebook and join the group. And you get updates on me. And my wife and I keep very close eye on my account so I just know what's going on out there with folks.
Well, thanks again for the stories. We'll have to have you on again because the
Definitely.
fans like talking to you.
Yeah, I'd love to, man. Whenever you're ready, just holler at Will and let me know what's going on, my brother.
Great. Well, I'll let you close this off with whatever you want to tell the fans to shut this down.
All right. Well, hey, wrestling fans, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to come out here and tell you a little bit of my stories and a little bit of my side of what's going on. Keep your ears tuned in to Hannibal TV. I mean, I love coming out here and talking with you. Keep God first in your heart. Everything else, if you got Him first, everything else will come through. If this is your dream, this is your dream. Give it all you got. Don't be second best at nothing. Always, you don't have to win the race, but at least get your personal best, so and you'll become a winner. You guys take care. Love you. God bless.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews,